Hello, and welcome to another episode of Third Chances. It is in the middle of the summer, and so I have a little hard time to schedule people because everybody is enjoying summer traveling and vacationing. So I decided to go back and handpick some greatest moments from my older episodes that you may have not chance to heard because those go back 2 years when my podcast first started, and they are super valuable to hear. So I just went back, and I hope you will find this interesting. Uh, this is more about the technology that I work with today that basically turned my life around, and not only it turned my health around, but it really helped me to get back on my feet and get back to my financial dignity. And I think that's really important in today's world. People are looking for ways to improve their lives, or people having challenges and suffering and not even knowing. There are different solutions out there today that were not available 20 years ago. And interestingly enough, I picked some of the episodes I had and great conversations I have, mostly with medical practitioners, medical professionals, who were as skeptical as I was because they never heard of it. And they shared their own experiences, what happened to them, what happened to their health, what they've seen that convinced them that, oh my God, this is my moral obligation to share this with the world. And first of the clip that I picked, and it's really like Nick picked a little part of the entire episode with Amy Stacy, who is RN, and she was a hospice nurse for 35 years. And her amazing story of the diagnosis that she received and what happened. And I just hope you will find it interesting because she is an amazing human being, as only hospice nurse can be. That's something I can't even imagine to be doing. But it just grabs your heart when you hear what happened, when you hear from people that their lives were significantly impacted. And if you want to go back and listen to the entire episode with Amy, it is the #1 episode of my podcast. And it was really interesting to hear her story and share her knowledge with me. So I hope you enjoy, and I'll be back.
So I started my nursing career at the NIH, National Institutes of Health, in oncology research, cancer research, and absolutely loved what I did. And actually, that was back when AIDS was out. So we did a lot of research on HIV as well. So that was the start of my career up in Bethesda, Maryland. I'm originally from Charlottesville, Virginia. I got kind of tired of the rat race. I got married, I got divorced, and I said, I'm going back home to Charlottesville. And I started my career as a hospice and palliative care nurse. Loved what I did. I created the after hours on-call team for a local hospice, which has never been done before. And, you know, I had my nickname at work was Amy Solution Stacy.
I love it. Yeah.
They all said, if there's a problem, Amy will find a way. And what's interesting is, you know, I'm a person that always pays attention to signs, you know, signs from the universe.
Yeah.
So when there's a problem, there's always a solution. And so in 2011, I know I'm bouncing around all over the years, but 2011, I was diagnosed with a very serious health challenge that was scary for a nurse, especially a hospice nurse.
Right.
And speaking of signs, 2 days after that diagnosis, I got a phone call from Dr. David Silverman to tell me about an alternative modality that helped his dad with a serious illness.
Mhm.
And he thought of me because I was a nurse. He had no idea that I had just been diagnosed with this illness.
Right.
So that was another sign from the universe. Again, I always listen to signs. You know, I'm very intuitive. Believe it or not, I'm an introvert, and introverts tend to go with their gut. And my gut has never left me astray.
Yeah.
But I have to say, when David called me, I was very skeptical. But I was also very scared. And so I said, I'll give it a whirl. It's probably not going to work, but I'll do it. So I did. I started drinking a supplement called Redox signaling molecules. As a nurse, never studied it in chemistry in nursing school. Don't even remember. I don't think any of us have.
Yeah.
It's an emerging field of science. And I was fascinated by the fact that these molecules are produced in our bodies natively. Native means our bodies produce it, like blood is native to the body.
Mhm.
Um,
So why it is
so
important for that supplement?
yes. And what these molecules do, it was all an education that Dr. Silverman gave me, is they detect a bad cell in the body and either repair that cell or replace it with a new cell. And I thought, well, that sounds like sound science. What if these bad cells that are in my body can go away with this technology?
Right.
So, long story short, started drinking the Redox supplement. And in 6 months later, they scoped me. They stuck a scope down my throat. And doctor called me the next day and asked me what I was doing. And I said, what do you mean? And he said, all your cells look really, really good. There's no bad cells.
That's amazing.
And so, needless to say, I did my happy dance.
Yeah.
After that happened and I got that clean bill of health, I felt a moral and ethical obligation as a human being,
Yeah.
much less an RN, to get the word out to the world that everyone needs to know about this. And the thing I love about it, Vera, is that since it's native to the body, and when we're born, a newborn baby has 100% of these redox molecules in their body. As we get older or get sick, we produce less and less, 10% less per decade after puberty.
Mhm.
So you could have a baby with a diaper rash, and you could put these molecules on a newborn baby with a diaper rash. It's 100% safe. So I believe I introduced it to about 40 people in 30 days, which I
Within the
don't think
first
anybody,
yeah,
yeah, I
within the
don't think
first
anybody in this company has ever done that. So, well, interestingly enough, because it's word of mouth marketing, network marketing, those 40 people went and told 40 people. So now all of a sudden, 40 times 40 is, what, 1,600
Yeah.
or 16,000. I don't even know. I failed math, so don't worry about that. But it
It's
was
a
a
lot.
lot of people. It was a
It's a
lot of
lot. Yeah.
people.
It's more
And at
people that you can reach it yourself.
Exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. Whereas with this business model, it's the ripple effect. It's kind of like an example that I like to give to people that don't really understand the ripple effect is everybody knows the Olive Garden restaurant. Okay. At least I do. I mean, most people have been there. And say, for example, you go and you have the best shrimp scampi you've ever had. And you go out and you tell 10 people.
Mhm.
Well, those 10 people are going to Olive Garden, right? And then those 10 people tell 10 people to tell 10 people. All of a sudden, thousands of people are going to Olive Gardens all over the world, right?
Yeah.
Who's getting paid?
Olive Garden.
Not me,
Yeah.
Olive Garden.
Yeah.
So I'm like a free advertisement for Olive Garden. They
Right.
don't pay me, right?
And we do that with everything for sure.
Right.
Yeah.
So with that being said, so that's kind of the power of the business model. But I really want to talk about something else. A lot of people have an aversion to network marketing.
I was gonna ask you about that. Yeah.
They do because they think it's a pyramid.
Right.
When I actually educate them that their job is a pyramid, corporate America is a pyramid. That's a pyramid. The person at the top makes all the money.
Correct.
Person at the bottom, for example, let's say we're talking about a hospital. You got your and I have people draw a triangle. And I say the CEO at the top makes all the money. The vice president makes little less, middle management. And at the bottom of that pyramid triangle, now we're talking about a hospital, right? Are the doctors, the nurses, the radiologists, the cafeteria workers, the transportation, HR, all these people at the bottom, they're not going to make any more money than they already make. So that's
sorry, my microphone just fell. I'm sorry.
That's okay.
Continue. I just don't want you to be distracted. I'll fix it up. Sorry.
But so when I explain it to people that way, then they have that aha moment. And I also tell them, Vera, why this company why ASEA chose the network marketing model.
I think that's what it's making really different from any other company on the market.
It is, because this company is probably the most ethical company on the planet. Their motto is to put people and principles and purpose over ego and economics. And I'm going to tell you why. So the founder of this company, who is now in his 80s, but he was retired from Kraft Foods, funny enough, and he got involved. I'm just going to give you the Cliff Notes version. Vertus Norton got involved to pretty much just with the idea that he was going to invest his money. And then if this really was what he thought it was, he was going to flip it and he was going to make money. Right. Just kind of like you buy a dilapidated house, you fix it up, you put money into it, and you flip it and you sell it for more. Okay. So, anyway, so in the process of all of that, Vertus Norton decided to share it with 20 people from his church. And those 20 people had very serious health challenges. And those 20 people turned into 135 people, I believe, in 25 countries. So that means people were talking about it, much like the Olive Garden thing.
When do you talk about something? When you have results?
Absolutely. So now it was time for Big Pharma to fly out, come to the table, and write Vertus Norton that check that he was really looking forward to.
Right.
And it was an 8-figure check. You do the math.
And he was in retirement, so he didn't need any more money to begin.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. So when they came to the table, Vertus Norton was ready to accept the check, and Big Pharma said, "We'll give you this check under one condition." And Vertus said, "What is that?" And they said, "Everybody that's taking this product has got to stop. They can no longer take it anymore." And Vertus Norton's exact words at that time was, "Well, that's kind of harsh."
Yeah.
Because without this product, these people would not be benefiting in a good way, like extending their life benefiting. So he turned down the check.
Yeah.
And it was at that point, he said, "Well, people are sharing it, so let me find somebody that can help us make this into a network marketing company." And ASEA was born in 2010 as a network marketing company. And I was one of the initial people that got on board with this just incredible, amazing company. I mean, I'm so proud to be a part of this movement. I really think it's a movement.
Yeah.
And I don't sell. That's the thing. I don't sell this. I pique interest, send people to a tool, and I get somebody else on the phone to speak with them so they can hear another perspective, not just mine. And they give it a try, Some might be skeptical like I was, but probably 99.9% of the people have great results. And like me, I wasn't interested in the business at all. And I made that very clear to Dr. Silverman. And they fall into the business like I did. I built it part-time while I was working as a nurse. And then all of a sudden, my income surpassed my nursing income. And I got more time freedom.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
It's amazing. When you look back, what do you think, how would your life look like if you didn't take that leap of faith?
Well, and let me tell you another part of that story. So in 2015, I had some family that had some medical issues, and I had to take a back seat. I wasn't sure how long I was going to be out, but I told my team, I said, look, you all plug into each other. I'll let you know when I'm back in the saddle. Well, that turned out to be 3 years that I did not do the business. I didn't even take any calls. I didn't do any Zooms. And luckily, our company pays us every Friday, direct deposit. Well, every Friday, my checks were getting bigger and bigger and bigger for those 3 years. So at the end of those 3 years, my quote unquote salary nearly doubled. And I didn't work one single day. So that is the power of residual income.
Yeah, that's what not many people understand when they stiff their noses over network marketing, when all the major inventions of latest decades are being sold this way, because it's not so easy to just put it on the market and let it run. Yeah,
Right.
yeah.
And the company is so supportive of all of us in the field. They'll do anything for us. They are not about the money. Remember, it's people, principles, and purpose over ego and economics.
So I'm back, and what do you think? I mean, some of these stories absolutely brought me to tears, and when I first heard them, and being able to know these people today in person and knowing how genuine they are, it just really, there's no much convincing for me anymore. First of all, I've seen results on myself that were absolutely staggering. And despite all the prognosis that I received from multiple doctors, I think if you ever listened to episode of my podcast, you would know that I had 3 surgeries in my lumbar, and I have screws and bolts there. And I was told many things. I was told I couldn't lift anything over 10 pounds. And that's back in 2009 after my 3rd fusion surgery. And today I deadlift 135. And I just, I don't tell you to don't believe doctors, but don't take it as a final world. There is always hope, and there is always alternative solution that may totally shock you. And what I love the most about this technology is the fact that I'm empowering my own body to do the healing. I'm not giving it anything to stimulate anything. It is already in us. And when we add to the replenishment that we have over as we age, they are getting depleted. And if we just bring it back to the levels that were when we were younger, our body is able to perform like it was younger. And means the cellular repair goes faster, the detection, repair, or replace goes automatically. And it's just the energy is through the roof. I mean, everything gets improved because your system is on optimal level. And I learned the hard way, you cannot go there with nutrition alone, with supplements alone. This is a whole new level of how we can address issues in our body today. So the next person I would like to show you a clip from, it's from an amazing conversation we had a while back with Dr. David Silverman, who actually Amy mentioned in this previous clip, because he's the person who introduced her to this technology. Dr. Silverman is a retired foot surgeon and built a successful practice, private practice, and Maryland certified ambulatory surgery center, only to soon realize that he was meant for something more. He mentioned to me that, yes, he was a successful doctor, but his practice wouldn't work without him being there. So even though you make a lot of money, you really don't have the freedom to spend it. You don't have time for your family. You're running the rat race, like we like to say. So he always looked at some sidekick that would help him to build some income on the side so he can cut on hours and eventually maybe sell his practice. And he's one of the people that had a bad experience with MLM. So when the ASEA came his way, he was looking for a solution to find something for his gravely ill father. And that's the whole reason, only reason why he looked at this. And later on, just like Amy, he had no interest to be involved with this. Although when he saw results, not only with his father, but on himself, on people that he recommended to, it was obvious that this is the unique, possibly missing link for health and wellness and anti-aging. And he started to get serious and looked at it. And I can tell you privately, his wife wasn't thrilled after that bad experience. But you know, sometimes when you have a bad experience, and that's the whole thing about MLM, people have a very crazy ideas about what it is. And yes, there are bad apples in this industry, like every other industry. When you think of it, are there bad lawyers, bad doctors? Are there bad restaurants? Yeah. But that doesn't mean the model is wrong. It means that it's in wrong people. And when you have a bad experience, you learn how to look for what is important, what the product is. Does it work? Is it supported by science? And most importantly, who is behind it? Can I trust the people that have it in their hands? Are they after profit and they will do whatever to just gain money? Or are they serious about building legacy business? Are they serious about supporting people in the field to help them thrive? And Amy touched on it, but we all share this amazing smitten by the management that is in ASEA. It's a family-owned business, not private, privately owned business. And they don't answer to shareholders. They answer to us, and they are there to support us in bringing this technology to the world because we consider it gift to humanity. And I'm not overstating this. I have seen changes that I would never believe possible. I have seen situations when doctors look at the x-ray and they couldn't believe it's the person x-ray because the healing that took place was so fast, speed up, that they have never seen anything like that. And it's not, this technology doesn't do anything. It's your own body responding to having more of it. So that's what fascinates me about it. And it's safe and it's zero toxicity and you cannot be allergic to it. I mean, it's no-brainer for me. And so I would like to touch on with Dr. Silverman. He was so grateful that he found this company that allowed him to go around the world and educate people about this and have a much bigger impact than he could ever have in just his ambulance, because that is limited to only people that he can see per day. I hope you enjoyed this one too, and I'll be back.
Well, I knew I wanted to be a doctor. At first, when I was a kid, I wanted to be a dentist, and I changed my mind. And in
Why?
college, because I had a lot of foot problems growing up, and I kept going to my primary doctors and to orthopedic doctors, and they just kind of made it better temporarily, and it always would come back. And then I went to a podiatrist. My friend's brother was a podiatrist. I didn't know what a podiatrist was.
Yeah.
I'm 62 now, so this is quite a ways ago. And he said, "What, you want to get rid of this problem for good?" And I said, "I didn't know I could." And he said, "Yeah, did it? Didn't even hurt." And it was gone. I was like, "Wow, a person that can give that much relief to somebody, that's really interesting." So I started looking into that, and that's when I decided to go into podiatry and became board certified in foot surgery, and own my own practice in Maryland outside of Washington, D.C. Right now I'm in Delray Beach, Florida for the winter.
Yeah.
Where the winter's almost over. But anyway, that's how I got into it. The human body fascinates me, and I wanted to help people. And I really did enjoy that chapter of my life.
And you had your own clinic, so one would think that you were extremely successful. And
Well, I'm psychologically unemployable.
that's my question. Yes. Why would successful doctor look at something else to do when his practice is blooming, right?
Well, the major reason was two reasons. One is I felt kind of limited. That's what I wanted to do, and I loved doing it when I was with patients. But after about 5-6 years, it was starting to feel like a routine. I'd see the same problems. I was very good at what I did. I was board certified in foot surgery and foot orthopedics, and I treated people conservatively whenever possible and didn't do surgery just to do surgery. Because I've had surgeries myself, and I'm like, if you don't need it, don't do it. I always believed in, hey, maybe you can get better without it. And but after about 5 or 6 years, I was going to 2 offices, and I mean, again, I'm psychologically unemployable. I had my own practice and my own ambulatory surgery center. And so I was in charge of everything, but that meant everything was on me, right? Everything, a lot of responsibility, a lot of livelihoods, people working for me, their families' livelihoods depended on me. And that was fine, but it felt like a routine. And I was like, God, do I want to drive around the Capitol Beltway? That's the big highway around Washington every day for the next 40 years and do this. And so that, and also I felt like maybe I was meant to do more. Like I was helping people with foot problems, ankle problems, fractures, gout, all these things, bunions. And maybe I was meant to do more in this life than just that. And like I say, I loved what I did. My patients loved me. I went to weddings and bar mitzvahs and baptisms and christenings, and I went to they always, my patients, I mean, I loved them and they loved me, but I felt like there was more, I had more potential. And the other big side of it was time freedom. I had no time freedom. They say if you own a business that requires your physical presence, then you don't own the business owns you.
You created the expensive job for yourself.
Right. And in fact, I mean, you don't think of a doctor's practice as a business, but it is. I mean, it's a practice, it's a medical practice. But I wanted time freedom. I wanted to do what I was doing, but I didn't want to have to do it. It wasn't like I was looking forward to Mondays. When I started, I was like, oh, I'm going to work, I'm building my practice. And after a while, I'm like, okay, I got here. And it's like, well, there's an analogy, Vera. People say, they go to school, they get an education, and they're trying to find what they want to do for the rest of their life, right? And you're kind of leaning a ladder up against a building, and you're climbing, and you want to get to the top, right? And as a doctor, it's a lot of climbing. I mean, it's undergrad, it's medical school or podiatric medical school, it's residency, it's board certification, it's opening up your own practice if that's what you want to do, taking out a loan, doing all that. You're climbing, and then like I say, after a few years, I'm like, hey, I'm at the top, and then you get to the top, and you look out, you stand on top of this giant building, and you look out, and you're like, whoa, maybe I had the ladder leaning against the wrong building.
Is that it?
Right. And so that's what I started feeling. And so when you say, why would someone leave their practice? Those are the reasons. Thank God I found a way to make much more of a difference in this world than just broken ankles and bunions. What I do now, number one, it's much more impactful in this world. I not only what I'm doing for people with this product, but the fact that I can do it anywhere. Like when I practiced, it had to be in the Washington, D.C., Maryland area. Here I can help someone in Virginia, California, Hong Kong, Lisbon, anywhere in the world.
The impact was limited for you.
Right, very. And I can teach anyone to do it. Like you do it. You know, you don't have to be a doctor to do this. I can teach a school teacher, an Uber driver, anybody to do this, because it's such a simple product to get benefit from, that, and there's no risk to it. It can't hurt anybody. So it's so easy. So between wanting to make more of a difference and having residual income so that I'd have time freedom. So money would be coming whether I was working or not. So if I wanted to go travel with my wife, or God forbid something happened to someone in my family and I had to take 2 weeks off, I wouldn't have to shut down my practice and worry about bills and everything else. The money would just come. And, you know, when you make money while you sleep, making money gives you choices. Money doesn't make you happy, right? But it gives you choices. You can buy organic food. You don't have to worry about buying a last minute airline ticket to see someone who's sick. You can, you know, you have choices with money. But when you have time freedom and money, it really gives you a lot of choices. And that's why I love what we're doing now. And I got introduced to this business model that we're going to talk about in a minute. Right when my wife was about to give birth with her third child, when I got introduced to this whole world of network marketing. And that was in '96.
But that was originally something else that you started with, right?
Yeah, a medical rep had brought this to me, and I had never, you know, I was ignorant about network marketing, which in a way was good, I guess, for several reasons. But the whole concept fascinated me. That, you know, you have products and services that are just, instead of money going to advertisers and spokespeople like, you know, Michael Jordan or whoever else, you know, and all the money that would go there goes to the people who are sharing. So you find out about something, you share it with people, and every time they order it, you get paid for that. And then the ripple goes out, out, out. So I fell in love with it. First company, I was in it for 6 months, went to one of their big meetings, and it wasn't a product that really helped people. It was a telecom service thing, but I liked the concept.
Yeah.
And I went to the first big rah-rah meeting, and that's what it was. And I got nauseous. I was like, this is not for me. These are just people that all they're talking about is making money and getting free cars. And it wasn't anything about helping anybody. And that wasn't me. So I quit. Said, network marketing is not for me. So it's funny, your thing is called Third Chances, right?
Yeah.
So then I don't know, a few months later, my mother had a really bad pain problem with her back and leg. And it was a weird thing, not normal thing that people get. And nothing really helped. And a friend of mine who was another podiatrist said, hey, have you tried using magnets? I've been using these things. They work. I'm like, magnets? Why would I use magnets? So I tried the magnets on my mom and it worked. And I thought placebo, placebo, placebo. Tried it on several patients. About half of them got some pretty good results. Then I tried it on a limping dog that had arthritis. And I said, look, if the dog stops limping, it's not, because I was beginning to think I could put my name behind this. I could get excited about this business if I knew it was real. Well, the dog stopped limping in about 15 minutes. And I said, okay, no one can tell me this is a placebo. The dog stopped limping. So I got involved with that business. Loved it. Great products, help people, amazing. And about a little over 2 years into it, I was making a lot of money and I sold my practice. Now, looking back, okay, that was a mistake. And I'll tell you why. I went to the top of that company. I was called a Royal Diamond. But the income was kind of like, it was doing this. It was I was working really hard all the time, no time freedom. And then it was steady. And then it was just starting to drop. And then I started noticing things with the people running the company. And I realized that they were not good people. And I made a huge error. I put my family in jeopardy. I sold my practice because I thought, oh, I believed what they were saying, that they were good people. I believed all of it.
The product was also believable for you. Yes.
Oh,
Yeah.
and so eventually I stopped. I just could, I believed in the product, but I didn't believe in the opportunity. And in network marketing, you got to be really, you got to have strong belief in the product and the opportunity and trust the people running the company. So I stopped. December of 2010, my friend Debbie brought me this, and I only investigated only because my dad was sick. I didn't want to, I wasn't looking at the business. I said, fool me once,
Right.
you know, shame on you, fool me twice, shame on me. I'm like, I'm not fooling 3 times. I'm out of network marketing. The first one was rah rah. The second one was liars. And I'm like, that's a bad industry. I'm not doing it. But so I did look at this because my dad had a grave issue that no one wants to hear they have in any part of their body, whether it's their prostate or their breast or their lungs. So I investigated it for him. And that was the beginning of my journey. I didn't look at the business side of this till a year later. And my dad's fine today, actually.
Isn't it fascinating that doctors have such a great education, but they are so skeptical to anything that is kind of outside of their lane as the alternative, so-called alternative approach, when it is the most natural approach to go.
Yeah, I mean, I was part of that. We're trained, and look, thank God for Western medicine. I mean,
yeah.
It's amazing, but for chronic problems to just make trained doctors to make a diagnosis and write the prescription. You know, your cholesterol is high, take this for the rest of your life. You got depression, take this for the rest of your life. High blood pressure, take this for the rest of your life. Eczema, put steroids on. And it's just doctors are not stupid. Doctors are smart, but they're ignorant. I mean, everybody's ignorant. Einstein was ignorant about things. I mean, everybody's ignorant about things. Fortunately, with this product, that anybody who wants to prove that it's real or try to disprove that it's real, there's a guaranteed way for them to know that it's real in 10 minutes. Now, will someone take the time to take 10 minutes to do it? I don't know, but it's not much to ask. And what I find, Vera, is with doctors and medical people that are not yet out of the box, many of them are now, but a lot are still just kind of like just tunnel vision into the whole thing. I love doing that. When I do, we can talk about it, but when I say you do this on 10 people and just do it for 10 minutes, and you tell me what happens to 9 out of 10 of them, and they call me and they say, my God, how can something that's made from salt and water do that? And very often, this is the shift. People say, this sounds too good to be true. If it was real, we would know about it. You're talking about breathing, skin, things that hurt, vision, all these things, blood sugar. How can one thing have an impact on all that? Too good to be true. Network marketing, thanks anyway, not interested. Right. So they say, if it was this good, if it was this good, we would know about it. Then they do the 10-minute test. Then the question goes from, if it was this good, we would know about it. It goes to, my God, why don't we know about this? And then they start really digging into it. Doctors start really digging into the science. When they dig into the science before they experience it, they could find flaws. They could find this. But once someone's had an experience, they're like, holy cow, like nobody can tell me I didn't just see that happen with my own eyes or didn't feel it myself. So that's what I love about it. I can open a closed mind in 10 minutes. If the closed mind says prove it, it's easy to prove it. We'll keep it brief because I know that this conversation is not just about this, but it's a breakthrough. It is something that's never been seen before. It's not a medicine. It's not a pharmaceutical. It's not a nutritional. It's different. It's something that's inside of us. It's called Redox signaling molecules made from saline. Now, this is patented. There's intellectual property on this. It's not reverse engineerable. They're double-blind studies, placebo. It's made from salt and water, right? But our cells make it. We make it in our mitochondria. And there are books that are complicated books to read. They're simple books to read on this. Redox, REDOX, stands for reductant and oxidant. The thing is, we make it in our mitochondria, but at puberty, we start producing less. So up until puberty, we're producing a ton of it because our mitochondria are pumping it out, just like it pumps out what's called ATP.
Mhm.
But at puberty, we start to produce less in our 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s. And you see what happens to people as they get older, right? Outside, they wrinkle. This works for wrinkles. Inside, they start having problems with their joints, with their hormones, with blood sugar, with mood, with blood vessels, with heart, with liver, with kidney, with breast. All of these things get worse as we get older. And it starts at puberty. And people say, well, we're not, a 20-year-old is just as healthy as a 10-year-old. Not true. 20-year-old might seem stronger and faster and maybe more capable, but there's something that the 10-year-old has that the 20-year-old doesn't. And what that is the ability to heal faster, right? A 10-year-old falls off their bicycle, gets hit by a car and bangs their head on the street and it breaks a leg. They have surgery, they heal. At 20 years old, they'll probably heal, but they will not heal as quickly. I used to operate on children. They heal fast, okay? But then the accident happens at 50, bangs their head, breaks their leg, could be in physical therapy for a couple of years, might die, ringing in the ears. Same accident happens at 85, the man or woman's probably going to die, either on the street from banging their head from a brain bleed, or the anesthetic is going to kill them, or they'll get pneumonia, or they get blood clots, the bone won't heal, and it corresponds to producing less and less of this. So they found a way to make these redox signaling molecules outside the body, and it's as safe as water, different than a drug. Can't be allergic to it, no toxicity, you can't overdose on it, and it doesn't interfere with medications. So when you're young, you produce a lot, and what it does is it amplifies signaling and makes it so all the cells can hear what's going on. So your immune system can hear when you have a problem, because the body can't take care of problems unless it knows there's a problem, right? And this amplifies signaling in the body. So when you're young, you fall off your bicycle, the signal's loud, help, help, help. The body heals itself. When you're 30, you don't have as much. So the signal for help isn't help, help. It's help, help. When you're 80, it's help, help, help. This amplifies signaling. And that's the simplest way to explain it.
That's the explanation why it works on so many different issues.
Well, we can't even say it works on issues because we can't make claims that it works on anything, because this technology is so powerful that originally the founders of the company were going to sell it to a pharmaceutical company in 2007 to make a lot of money. And the pharmaceutical company from New Jersey came out to Utah. They looked in Park City. They looked at all the data. They looked at all the validations at universities, and they said, my God, you did this. We didn't think anybody would ever make redox signaling molecules outside the body. We'll buy it, patents, intellectual property, and you need to shut down. And the founders of the company said, well, okay, but what about the people who are on the product, and what's the plan to bring it to market? And they said, well, the people that are on the product, they'll find something else, and we're buying it. We'll take care of bringing it to market. And that's when they knew that the pharmaceutical company wanted it for one reason, to just make it go away. And if you're out of the box, if your listeners, any of them already know this is true, and it is true, and this is not a theory. Pharmaceutical companies need one thing, no matter what, to make money. They need sick people. And they don't want things on the market that help keep people well. They scared the hell out of people for decades with CBD, and they propaganda, and they wanted it to bury it. And that's when the founders of the company said, we can't sell this. If we sell it and just take the money and walk away, they knew what it did. Like I know what it does. If you knew something that had the ability to do what this does for people, and you've seen it over and over again, how could you take a chance on letting go of it and having someone who one day they'd probably bring it out when the drug era is over, but they want people on drugs. So they decided on network marketing. And so when I just real quickly, when I saw the changes in my dad, I referred people to my friend Debbie, who brought this to me, because I didn't want to get involved. I'm like, I'm not doing network marketing. And she's like, this is not like your typical multi-level marketing company. It's a biotech company that chose this method of distribution. because there's no, it needs some hand holding. You people just don't start, you need some hand holding on usage. It's simple, but it's hand holding.
And also what we are trained to do, to turn around, to look at the label and see the ingredients and where's the miracle ingredients in this, right?
Yeah, and it's made, and it says ingredients, salt and water. So I put a little link tree site together with none of my contact information on there, but there's one of them that says, why is it made from salt water? And also the story of the genesis of this company. And it's at gettingyoungerclub.com, gettingyoungerclub.com, just good basic information. I'd recommend if anybody looks at this, they absolutely call you to get the straight information, because it's produced in an FDA registered production facility. You want to get it through an actual distributor, a rep. You don't want to just get it from eBay or something that's counterfeit product and expired product. But anyway, what happened was I referred people to Debbie, and over weeks and months, they kept coming back to me saying, thank you, thank you. Not the same issue as my dad. People with blood sugar issues, skin issues, breathing issues, sleeping issues, mood issues, all kinds of things. And every time somebody came back and said, thank you, I kept sending more people to Debbie. Well, after enough time, there were so many things happening. Like people said skin things fell off of them. The skin lesions have been there for years. And I said, this is not a placebo. I said, I love network marketing, the concept, but I got burned twice. And my wife was like, you're never doing that again. I'm like, I know I'm not doing it again. Well, I was getting curious and I was listening to conference calls and things. So finally I got on a plane and I flew out to Park City, Utah. And I wanted to meet the people who started the company. I wanted to see the FDA registered production facility. I wanted to feel the people, because last time I didn't really get to know them till about a year in. And I was like, oh man, these are just money grubbing people. But when I went out to Park City, I'm sitting around with the founders, the president, and the CEO. And there was a point we're sitting around the table and we were all crying, all of us. And I realized you can't fake that. I mean, one person could fake crying, but we're all sitting there like literally in tears. And I realized that moment that was the final piece of the puzzle for me to put my reputation on the line and my family's welfare on the line to get involved.
So what do you think so far? I hope you have a much better feeling and understanding why I am so passionate about this. This really, I have never seen anything like this in my entire life. And I have been involved in many companies back in Europe and here in America. I have never seen anything like that. And of course, that's my opinion and my experience, but it just, it speaks volume when you speak with medical professionals who are very careful about what they will be risking their reputation on, because it doesn't cost $20,000 to become a doctor, and you have certain respect with people. You have to be really 1,000,000% sure that what you share with them will impact their life. And I believe what Dr. Silverman just said just speaks volume to me, because he is doing it every single day. He has impacted by now thousands of people all over the world and train others how to share this technology with others. And it's just, it's somebody said that we get paid in goosebumps, and it's so true. When you start getting phone calls from people that believe that nothing will help them, and suddenly their health is improving, it's a big deal. It's a big deal to me as well. And by the way, I forgot to mention at the introduction that if you want to see the entire episode with Dr. Silverman, it's the episode number 16 back in, I think, last year. And I also wanted to apologize because I realized my sound is not perfect. And I guess today is one of those days when everything goes wrong and my microphone may be going. So I just hope you stick around because of the quality of the information and not the quality of the sound. I'm so sorry. My next episode that I would like to share with you, or a little clip from our amazing conversation that we had, is with a wonderful, wonderful Southern woman from Texas Donalyn Dominguez. And when I first met her, she is just a sunshine of warmth and absolutely amazing person to be around. But what I learned later was that she had a dream to become a midwife, and she fulfilled that dream in her 50s. And not only that, she built one of the most successful birth centers in Texas at that time. And I would like to share the part of our conversation when she shared what happened to her and what followed. And just like everybody else, how she eventually realized this have to get out and be shared with people, that everybody deserved to know about it. So I hope you listen and enjoy. This is one of the testimonials that brought me to tears when I first heard Donalyn Dominguez.
While I owned my birth center, that was 10 years out of my practice time. And I put a lot of time and effort and my heart into building my birth center because I wanted it to be the way I wanted it to be. I had a vision for perfection, excellence. And so we bought the house, that huge house, and took it down to the rafters and redid everything, painted, plastered everything, decorated it so that it was beautiful, but it felt like my baby, And let's see, about, I guess, 5 years into the time that I owned a birth center, I discovered a place on my leg that didn't look normal. And so I went to the doctor and they said, yeah, this is very bad news, the worst you'd ever want to get. Yeah. We need to do surgery right away. Well, I was busy practicing,
Right.
So
yeah.
I went, well, okay, but I thought it would just be a small operation, remove the place that didn't look good and I'd go on and be good. But it wasn't quite that simple. They did about a 6-inch incision. They took a lymph node. I had a drain when I got home. It was pretty extensive surgery and took me about 6 weeks on crutches and limping to recover from that. But I only stopped working for about 4 or 5 days because when you own the business,
you can put it on hold. Yes.
Yeah, you don't say, I'm going to go on sick leave for a while. I'll see you later, especially with something like babies.
Babies, yeah, they don't wait. Yeah.
So I worked on crutches. I delivered babies on crutches. I did whatever needed to be done. And we got
you also didn't allow yourself a lot of time to heal and rest.
No, I couldn't, So I thought everything was fine. But a year later, when I was drying after my shower, I discovered a lump above the incision. And I thought, I don't remember that being there before. Okay. So I made another appointment and went in. And by the time I got there, 1 week later, it was 3 lumps. And so they did some more testing and came back with, I'm so sorry. It has come back and we've scheduled another surgery for next Tuesday. And I'm like, wait a minute. We're not going to do a surgery until we look and see if it's anywhere else, because you can't just keep cutting parts of me off.
That's
so
right.
They allowed me to, I changed doctors actually, and they did some scans and some extensive testing and said, yes, we're so sorry. It has actually moved into your lungs. So you're at the worst level that you could be with this condition, and your prognosis for living is fair. But we'll give you another 8 to 13 months with our medical protocol that is 4 sessions of 2 bags of IV medicine, 1 every 6 weeks. The 4 were happening every 6 weeks. We started right away in that month, and those sessions were $150,000 each.
I heard you saying that somewhere, and I almost fell off my chair. Oh my
We did
God.
too. We almost fell off our chair, and people
Yeah.
go, "Well, you had insurance," but yes, but how many things have a 10% copay on them? So, 10% is not very much money if it's $100, but when it's 150,000, that's a lot of money. But my husband said, "We'll figure it out. You have to do this. I want you to live."
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I said, "Okay." I
So
mean,
what happened with your business in the meantime at that time?
well, I'd take the injections, and the first two weren't too bad. I didn't feel real good, but it wasn't awful. The third one killed my pituitary gland and put me in ICU because your pituitary gland makes cortisol, and your body cannot live without cortisol.
Hmm.
So I almost died, but I didn't. And when I got out, I went back to the doctor, and he said, "I won't give you the fourth treatment because that would kill you. But you have to take one of those two medications every month for the rest of your life. Not the mean one, but the other one every month for the rest of your life, because things are quiet right now, but they'll come back as soon as you stop taking the medicine." And I said, "Well, I don't know how crazy you think I am, but you just nearly killed me. And I'm not doing any more of your medicine. We're all done here. I'll find something natural, or I'll go home." But I was a mess. My mouth was like hamburger. I couldn't hold any food. It was awful. And I felt terrible because,
May
pardon
I
me,
ask how old you were at that time?
at that time I was, let's see, I was 65 when that happened. And so,
working like crazy. Yeah.
yeah. Sometimes 90 hours a week, because you sometimes go to a birth and it's 40 hours, you just never know. But yeah, so I began to look for something natural. He had me on medicine to replace the cortisol that I no longer make, but that's a steroid. And so when the steroid wore off at 6 p.m. at night, I was done. Because when you don't have any cortisol in your system, you feel like you're going to pass out or throw up or both. You hold on to the walls to get to the nearest bed.
Yeah.
And so I went to bed at 6 p.m. every night for 16 months. And in the meantime, looked for any kind of alternative treatment. I spent another $20,000 on alternative things that were more natural and specific for the condition that I was trying to recover from. And nothing worked, nothing helped. I never felt better, not one day.
Wow.
So the original disaster happened in the 1st of September in 2016. In May of 17, I had been through all of these things to try to get better, didn't get better. My nutritionist gave me a bottle of Redox, but she didn't explain anything. And I took it home and tasted it. She signed me up for a case and a tube every month. I tasted it, and it tasted like a swimming pool, and I thought she scammed me. I was so mad. I loved her, but I thought she's into something, and she just signed me up for some MLM, and I can't believe she did that.
Yeah.
So I was upset, but I understand I did not feel well and hadn't for so long.
Yeah.
It's my excuse for being so ugly.
Did you know her for a long time, or was it?
I had known her for several months. She had me on about 25 supplements per meal, trying to help me get better. And she was so sweet. She'd bring me bone broth because I couldn't keep anything else down. She was a precious girl. She just didn't really know a lot about Redox. And she moved right after she signed me up. She moved to another state.
Oh, no.
So we didn't have much more contact. I was so busy during the day and went to bed the minute I could afterwards. So it was just not a good time. And Jim Glenn, who was an associate above her, he helped sign her up, was trying to contact me. He was texting and emailing and calling and calling and calling, but I'm like, I'm not doing network marketing, guys. Get back.
And in the meantime, you
Like
have
that.
product piling up and you didn't touch it, right?
Nope. I mean, I don't know what that is, but I'm not drinking it. So finally in December, I actually had a knee replacement in August because the original surgery tore up the other knee. In December, he called again, and it was December 4th. I don't know why I answered the phone that day, but I did. And I was very, very, very low. I mean, kind of losing my will to live. It was just a battle every day.
Oh,
And he said, how are you doing? And I said, I'm not doing well. And he said, are you drinking the Redox? I went, no, I'm not drinking that stuff. I don't even know what it is. And it tastes like a swimming pool. He said, let me send you information. So he did. He sent me information, a lot of which I still use when I'm helping my people. And he talked to me about the science, sent me the Tory lab study and some other things. And I looked at it and said, okay, I'm sorry, I still don't believe you. This sounds too good to be true. So it probably is, but I'm desperate. I knew I was not long for this world. And I said, because I'm desperate and because now I have 7 cases stacked up, I did never turn off AutoShip. So I'll drink it just to prove to you it's not going to work. Nothing else has. This
yeah.
won't work either.
And
But
it's and
instead-
you were in a serious spot because there was multiple things going on that you
Multiple.
needed improvement. Yeah.
Yes, I know I would not have been here long if I hadn't found Redox, which is part of why I'm so passionate about it now. But he said it's 100% non-toxic. It cannot hurt you. It can only help. It's not going to be contraindicated with anything else you're taking. And I went, okay, then if a little's good, more's better. And I'll just drink it up and show you it's not going to work. So I started with 2 ounces twice a day. And then in a couple of days, I increased the amount, and I increased and increased and increased until I was drinking a bottle a day. And 3 weeks after he called me, which was December 4th, it was right before Christmas. I was wrapping Christmas presents, and my husband walked in and said, do you know what time it is? I went, no. He said, it's 11 o'clock.
Wow.
I said, it's 11 o'clock and I'm still awake and I feel good. He said, it's 11 o'clock. So I went to bed praying, please don't tease me. Don't let me get my hopes up and then be disappointed again, because I knew I couldn't handle it emotionally or mentally. And so I promised.
Was it the first time you noticed something different?
Yes.
Yeah.
The first time, but I was drinking a lot.
Yes.
That was really fast, but I was drinking so much. And I had been doing right things for that entire 16 months. Since I first got the diagnosis, I cleaned up my diet. I ate organic. I drank clean water. I had no sugar. I did all the right things, but the cells weren't signaling. And when the cells aren't signaling, nothing else matters, like Alan Noble always says.
Yeah.
So I had increased. I was up till 11 o'clock that night. I went to bed and promised that if this was working for me, that I would tell everyone and give God the glory, because I had been praying so hard for something.
Yeah.
And so the next day I woke up, my energy was good, and I kept feeling better and better. 2 weeks later, my 21-year-old student said she couldn't keep up with me. And I went, yes. So I was very encouraged, but I was still going down the stairs, bad leg first, because that knee was so bad. And now we're 5 months after the surgery. But because I was on a steroid, it wouldn't heal. So I was rubbing gel on the knee twice a day, but we didn't know about 3 times in 5 minutes back then. And it didn't feel like anything or smell like anything. So I thought, this is dumb, but I said I would use it, so I'm using it. So I did. And one day they called me. and said, "You've got to come downstairs quickly." I lived above the birth center. I said, you got to come down quick. Somebody's here to see you. And I said, okay. And I wasn't thinking. I trotted to the bottom of the stairs like I was 15 years old, and nothing hurt. It wasn't swollen. It wasn't stiff. And I was amazed. I was so excited when I got to the bottom of the stairs and realized what I'd done, that I just ran to the midwife office and told everybody, "It's a miracle. Look what I can do." I was doing jump squats. I was running up and down the stairs for everybody. I couldn't believe it, but I had hope for the first time in 2 years, really.
You know,
So,
it's interesting what you're saying, because I realized so many people, when they start taking it, and they are conditioned to be like, you take a pill and then something goes away, they are used to that, and this is not it. And so they are not trained to be watching for what is different. And you were a medical professional and you didn't notice until suddenly you were up for several more hours than you normally would pass out to bed. So it is so eye-opening that, you know, we sometimes forget about things we no longer have because we don't have them anymore.
exactly. And you don't realize that something was uncomfortable, or to what degree, until it goes away.
Yeah.
Because you just sort of try to accept, well, I'm getting older, you know, it's normal to have aches and pains, or it's normal to stand up out of bed and have to take 2 or 3 minutes to get everything moving before you can walk. I noticed several months in that I was jumping out of bed and taking off, and I went, oh, I didn't used to be able to do that. I had to oil the joints first. Don't have to do that anymore. So now I'm 6 years older than I was then, and I feel 10 years younger than I was then. And my labs are always perfect. My scans are always perfect.
That's
And
the major part.
I am 100% healthy and the most grateful woman on the planet.
So what do you think so far? I just love Donalyn. I was really blessed to meet her. She's exactly how she sounds. She is, as I said, sunshine of heart on her, in the palm of her hand. And her story really was jaw-dropping for me. I don't want to make this long because I know we are all in a hurry, but I hope you are enjoying it as much as I'm enjoying myself. It's like looking through the box with the older pictures and remembering the times. And my next little piece of episode would be with Leland Dyke. And he's a former orthopedic surgical physician assistant. I'm reading it because I want to make sure that I'm reading it fine. He was founder and co-founder of retail chain of Beck stores and global BME orthopedic sports medicine distribution company for 21 years. He's one of the most active people I have ever met. In his 70s. He is not stoppable. He was also partner and executive director for sales for 2 separate global orthopedic and sports medicine manufacturing facilities, where they were each built for 10-year stints and then sold. And that is on top of his cattle ranch that he operates alone, aside from seasonal help he may hire for individual projects. But then one day, and as many of us know, your life can change in 1 second. And so it did for Leland. And what happened to him, what it meant for his business and for his family and for his life, and what happened next, he would be sharing his story and reasons why this groundbreaking technology gave him his life back. So I hope you enjoy.
When I was introduced to ASEA, after saying no for almost 2 years because I didn't think I needed it, I didn't think it was real. I didn't study it in med school, so I didn't think it was real until I had a health challenge. And I was working my cattle and all day in the corrals. I was tired, came home, went to bed, got up the next morning, and I couldn't even roll over on my own mattress. My fingers had turned into my palms. I had discomfort in every joint. I was miserable and I was scared. I thought I'd had a stroke, but I didn't know. But my wife finally helped me to my feet, to the car, went to the hospital, and 7 weeks later, I was diagnosed with an autoimmune disorder that really, Vera, just brought me to my knees. And so the doctor said, Leland, this is a very rare disorder. You probably never heard of it. And when he told me what it was, I just rolled my eyes. He said, you've heard of it? I said, my mom had it. And he said, well, how many children in the family? And I said, there's 5. And he said, well, you're the lucky one. She passed it down to you in genetics. Usually doesn't hit men till they're 72 years old.
How old were you then?
62.
Wow.
But he said, Leland, you're running 3 companies.
Yeah.
You're running wide open. You're not sleeping good. At 62, you're getting up 2 or 3 times a night and going to the bathroom. So you never get into that deep REM sleep that your body needs to recover from what you put it through every day. And he said, so I started on high doses of anti-inflammatories, pain medication. I went through all types of IV treatments to build my immune system back. I went gluten-free, sugar-free, alcohol-free, you name it. This boy went through it for 14 months. And at the end of that time, Vera, I wasn't any better. Matter of fact, I was worse because I'd become very depressed, which it's hard for me to talk about sometimes, being an athlete and a rancher and, raised around 4 boys. It's kind of
hard to imagine because you are such a full of life and enjoying life. Yes. Yeah.
So I didn't want to admit it because my dad on the farm, if we complained, he'd say, just put your big boy pants on and get over it. So I knew complaining wasn't an option. So I was pushing through it, trying to make it happen, and it just wasn't happening. And that's when my friend called me back. And he said, Leland, I know you're going through a tough time. I just don't understand why you'll take all those medications and all these treatments and you won't even try something that's non-toxic and can't hurt you, can only help you. I said, because I didn't study at med school. He goes, well, that's because you're old and this is new science. So I said, okay. So he sent me to pubmed.gov, where the doctors go to write their peer review articles. And that night I stayed up till probably 4 a.m. reading articles on these redox signaling molecules. And it gave me hope again, Vera. And I called my friend back and said, okay, I'm interested. I'm going to pursue it, to look at it. But if you want me to look at it, we have to fly out to the company where it is. He goes, what? And I said, I have to know that I know. It just seems too good to be true. And my dad always taught me when that's the case, usually it is. So I want to go. And we did. We flew out and I met the founder of the company. He ran a $37 billion division for craft food, very bright, one of the top 50 strategists probably in the country. And I went through their corporate office, but I wanted to go through their manufacturing plant because I had run manufacturing facilities with 150 employees. So I knew kind of what to look for. And I went, I'll have to be honest, with the purpose of proving that it wasn't real. It did seem too good to be true. But after being there, I don't impress very easy because I've been around big athletes and big businesses, but this company wowed me that day. I was in total shock with what I saw. The facility, you could eat off the warehouse floor, FDA approved, FTC approved plants. Unbelievable. And here they have a product with 30-something patents that nobody in the world has. And I was in the founder's office and there's a big hope chest in the corner overflowing with letters from people around the world that had got on this product and changed life. And I looked at a couple of those and I told him that day, I said, I've tried everything the medicine can throw at me. If this product works, I'm going to be your biggest cheerleader. That's what I told him. And he was like, yeah. But the next week I was invited to a conference in Dallas at the Gaylord Hotel where they were having a big conference with this company. And I got there early. I wanted to sit at the front. I wanted to see everything that was going on. And I saw the leaders come across the stage and I saw testimonies from people. And I thought, man, they can't pay this many people to say this sort of stuff. This has got to be real. And I sat there with tears flowing down my face, just with hope. I still get emotional today, and it's been 7 years, but it brings that memory back where I was that day. I was hurting, and I was actually, hard for me to say too, but I was thinking some crazy things because I didn't want to live that way. I've never seen an ethos. I've never seen a company with the leadership that this company has. They truly care for us as people, and it shows in how they run the company.
You were saying that you went to Dallas and see that. At that point, were you already taking the product, or did it take you multiple visits to convince yourself to try?
I had just started because when I was out there, when I came home, I ordered product, and it had just come in, and I started taking some of the product. I already felt it. I had more energy. But when you can't take the cap off a bottle of water, when you can't dress yourself or go to the bathroom without help, it was very much a humble pie for me with my background.
Yeah.
And if it wasn't for my wife, I don't know what I would have done. And I went and I sat on the front row, and as those stories came across, tears just flowed with hope that I had found this. I thought I was a distraction because I was constantly rubbing my eyes and sniffling, and I got up and left the meeting, went to the restroom, and I came back in and sat on the back row. It wasn't 2 or 3 minutes here, those tears coming in. It was just, I think it was so much joy that I found something that could help me because I had lost all hope.
Yeah.
And I'll say it again, I had lost all hope. This was a last-ditch effort for me to try to reach out and help myself because I'd been through everything else. And that week, the first week, about 80% of my discomfort in my joints went away. In the second week, my depression had started lifting. My wife said I was fun to be around again. So I guess when you're hurting, you're not fun to be around. But in the third week, my hands began to open and close like they had 14 months prior. And in 90 days, I came off 3 medications that I had been on for 8 to 10 years for high blood and sugar levels and high uric acid levels. And at 9 months, I came off a machine because I snored at night. And so I just continued to see progress. And with my background in medicine, there's no way, Vera, that I could just sit still and not share this, what was happening to me. And I told my wife, I have to know. I was just going to take this product. I had no interest in the business side at all. I had 3 companies. I just wanted to get healthy, and I would have traded all of them for my health. I realized at that time that my health was my biggest asset. And if I didn't have it, I couldn't run my companies. I couldn't do anything I wanted to do. And raised on the farm, I was a meat and potato guy, just, with all the boys. I wasn't into really watching so much what I ate. I ate everything I wanted because I always burned it off in sports.
Yes.
But when you quit playing, your metabolism changes, and I started gaining weight. I went from 220 to 280. I'm 6'5", so it's wasn't feeling good about myself, and then that hit. So that's what happens when you don't take care of yourself. Things like this that's when things creep into your body that you don't want. And so that's where I was, and this product just continued to get better. And I made a list of 50 people that I knew from either playing sports with or working with at the company or sitting on the board at church or wherever. I knew people that were hurting. I went to the first 30 on that list, and I said, y'all all have seen me sick. They said, yeah. I said, but you look great now. What's going on? I said, it's this new product that I discovered, and I know you've got an issue. And I was just thinking maybe it can help you like it helped me. I can't promise anything because it's not a drug, thank goodness, or that, it's zero toxicity. Where do you find that? And native to your body. It's actually what you were born with. And I thought, wow. So I shared that with them, and guess what? My first 30 people said yes. And my first 30 people got results. And I knew then I had found and tripped on something pretty exclusive and exceptional that I had not seen when I was in the practice. And so that's where my journey started with this company. And I have just continued to reach out to people on a daily basis to say, you may or may not be interested, but I've got something that's changing lives all over the world. And we're in 33 countries right now. The company's debt-free. I've never seen leadership like this. It's the whole package, and I think you should look at it. And then when some of my closest friends or even family said no, it just crushed me.
Yeah.
And sometimes you can't talk to your own family members. Like, well, you don't know anything about this. You're Leland, you know. So it bothered me.
Even though they saw the results the impact that it had on your health. Yeah.
Yeah, but you know what? They're all involved now. They were watching and they saw, and then they saw the success on the business side of it. Maybe we need to try this. So I've learned don't get upset when they say no. Thank them for their time and say, do you mind if I follow up with you later? Because it may be next week like me, or next month, or you might have a loved one you care for that needs something that can't hurt them. This should be the first product of choice that they take before medications or surgeries or treatments, because it's native to the body.
If you are still listening, I want to thank you for sticking with me. I believe there is not enough good news in the world, especially these days. And what an inspiring and insanely positive stories these are when you bring people hope. And I hope you can see and start understand why this means so much to me. It's personal. It really is something that I never expected to come across, and it just found me, and I will be forever grateful because of the impact it had on my own life. Never anything to compare with these absolutely stunning stories and people that I was really blessed to meet and share time with them. My last clip is not a medical professional, but he was a professional athlete. He was bodybuilder. When we see bodybuilder, we think they are a picture of health. Well, not all bodybuilders live the healthiest life. Sometimes the way their body look is more important than what they actually do for their health, but that's for another story. But Dan Doyle was really like, he owned fitness centers. He was doing supplements. He knew a lot about this industry, but he considered everything natural as a quackery. He's from Australia, so that explains that word, I guess, because maybe it's normal in English. I never heard of it before. But Dan, like many others, had a great ride. He was a very successful businessman, owning several businesses. And just like Leland, probably overrun his body with the ability what it can do. And if you don't give your body enough fuel and tools to be able to repair and heal, it eventually gets to you. And unfortunately, Dan also had a moment in his life when everything fell apart and almost brought him, it actually did bring him to bankruptcy. And I'm so grateful that he agreed to do an interview with me, because I wanted his story to be seen and shown and shared. By the way, he shows pictures. So if you are listening to this, I would encourage you to go on YouTube and find that episode on YouTube so you can see, because he's showing his before and after. And it is really staggering, because I know that if you saw anybody struggling with serious illness, it changes everything. Well, I don't want to keep you, because Dan's story speaks for itself. So this is my last episode, or little nip from it. And I hope you start getting why I do what I do. And I hope I got your attention, because it deserves attention. And everybody you know that may be struggling with something deserve to know about this. And please, please, I beg you, leave your mind open, because I don't know if you know this, but every single person who I show their testimonials today was as skeptical as I was. Every single one. Every single one thought, too good to be true. And if this was so good, why my doctor doesn't know about it? Why have I never heard of it? I just hope you take it seriously and look into serious information, or ask me, please, and I'll be happy to send you resources. If you go on Google, you will find garbage on everything that we can think of, unfortunately. So I have a very high suspicious nose with anything I find on Google, because it's, I looked up my own doctor once and I couldn't believe the reviews. It's just, and I knew him for 10 years. So I always take it with a grain of salt. If you want a really serious information, go on pubmed.gov that Leland mentioned, or ask me and I'll be happy to send you the latest research on this. Or even better, ask me and I'll gladly send you a sample and tell you how to use it so you can prove it to yourself within 10 minutes. Because it's not that hard and you will see for yourself. And I would like to stress, we don't make any medical claims. This is not a medication. This is not designed to heal, diagnose, or improve anything in the body. It's a supplement. And by FDA regulation, we are not allowed to claim that it does anything. But I would love you to make your own conclusion, hearing these stories of success. When your cells are healthy, you are healthy. No matter how much time it may take or how much you may need, it happens for 100% of the people because it's in us. And that's what makes it absolutely unique in the world. Thank you so much for listening today. Please don't skip the last little piece of Dan's testimonial, because these people that I chose today are the reason I really convinced myself that this is absolutely something that I need to pay attention to. You don't hear stories like that every day. Sometimes it's timing. And I guess for me, it came too late because I wasn't able to save my husband because I didn't know about this. And I can never know if it would make any difference or not. But as you know, I lost my husband about 2.5 years ago. And well, actually now 3. What am I talking about? It's been 3 in July 2024. And I only found this technology a few months later. And it just broke my heart. I was thinking, the first thing I thought was, why now? But maybe that's the reason why, because I have a new mission to bring it to as many people as possible when they still have time to do something about it. And it's not only about health, it's about how you feel, how you age, how you stay active, how you perform, because I refuse to believe that we have to age with the bags full of pills and medical appointments on every freaking day. And my doctor telling me, oh, well, that's just age. There's nothing we can do about it. Yes, we can. And this is the most powerful thing I know about today. So I just seriously hope that you will pay attention, that you love these stories. Please let me know. Please comment, subscribe, and have a great rest of the day.
I got into, at the age of 5, rugby, and then in my early teens, judo, gymnastics while playing rugby, aerobics later on, which was huge back in the 80s, and then obviously surfing, because it's a big part of Australian culture. So a lot of people do that. And then as time went on, I got into bodybuilding.
Yeah.
So bodybuilding was my last sport. I don't know if we can share some photos at this point and show people how serious I was about.
Absolutely, because that, like, if you are not watching it on YouTube, you are missing a lot, because this is gonna be very visual. And this is what Dan looked like when he was on top of his game.
So age 13 years old, obviously a man by the name of Arnold Schwarzenegger came into my life, and I started following him however I could back in those days, and very inspirational. Really motivated me to becoming the best version of myself in so many ways. And this was literally coming to the end of my bodybuilding career. But it wasn't the end of me looking after myself physically.
But can you tell me how you achieved this state? Did you do any of the supplements? Did you do the proper diet? Working out, obviously, it's a necessity, but how did you achieve this beautiful shape?
Yes, I mean, obviously at the age 13 started picking up weight. So I was very, very early. I was 24 here. This is back in the early 90s. I realized sort of playing the sports and doing aerobics, my body started taking shape and putting on muscle. And I ended up under the training, guidance, and mentor of another bodybuilder, somebody who owned a gym. And he taught me all about nutritional supplements. Nutritional supplements, when I say that, for bodybuilding. So back then we were into proteins, creatine, amino acids, and all those sorts of things.
Yeah.
But personally, I didn't have the knowledge when it comes to the experience that you've got and you've had all your life, which is proper nutrition to feed the body and the cells. So for me, it was all about, okay, what can I do to put on muscle? And it was all around protein. So back then, even the knowledge of, having a good balanced diet wasn't in my life, because I used to think, okay, I'll just have a steak for breakfast, lunch, or dinner, or a lot of eggs, or a lot of, chicken breast, or whatever it may be. But anyway, I ended up on the knowledge that I had getting this result.
Yeah, that's pretty awesome.
It could have been much better. It could have been way better.
But you didn't do any of the forbidden supportive substances.
Not in the early days, in my latter days.
Oh. Okay.
So when I actually competed in local events, I was all natural. When I went to the big boys, you just can't compete. So the IFBB, the NABA Federation, they're the two biggest bodybuilding federations in the world. So mildly, yeah, absolutely, to enable me to compete in my later stages. Mm-hmm. But this is literally a week before I retired. So I had one more competition after this particular competition. They were both state titles. Vero, I don't like talking about them because I came second in both.
Oh, well, I believe that's still pretty awesome success.
But to me, it's the first loser. And so
you are somebody who hates to lose.
I like to achieve. I like to win, regardless of what that is in my life. But I realized back then I didn't want to exchange time for money. Yeah. I knew there was something else. I knew there was something better than what I was doing. I wanted to give myself my own pay rises. So I went to traditional business back in the early 90s. Now, as a sports person, an athlete, a bodybuilder, where do I go? What do I look for? What do I do? And I actually bought myself an existing bodybuilding shop which sold aerobics gear, gym gear, supplements. So that's how I started, all the way back in the early 90s. And this is what I looked like back then when I had that business. Then I started expanding into the shop next door, shop across the road, my own gym, my own aerobics, my own boxing gym. And it got quite substantial. It was the biggest bodybuilding shop in Australia. And it was a great business. So let's look at where I am right here as a bodybuilder in business, starting as a young entrepreneur. And what happened was I became very good at building and selling traditional businesses. So from the last photo to this photo, I built and sold 20 traditional businesses between the age of 24 and 44. So this is 44, 20 years after the last.
Oh, wow.
Obviously not a bodybuilder anymore. I was into more cardiovascular. And as life went on, I just wanted to make sure I was the best version of a 44-year-old that I could be. Even today, if you look at this and where I am today, I look at what I do today that's going to contribute to where my body is in 10 years' time.
Right.
I'm working on that every day. So this is 20 years later. Now, you would think I was in pretty good condition here, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Good shape. Yeah.
Yeah. Well,
Did you
what happened?
feel healthy?
Felt fantastic. Felt absolutely fantastic. But what happened was 6 months after this photo was taken, I found something that wasn't quite right with my body, went for a checkup, and then I got some really bad news, which leads to the next photo 6 months later.
Hmm.
And the next photo is a photo of me on the right-hand side, going through what I wouldn't wish on my worst enemy. You can see I've got no hair from the top of my head to my toes. Doctor gave me not one lot of bad news, but two lots of bad news. I had two major challenges. And talking about challenges, this was the most challenging time in my entire life. A young friend of mine on the left, as you know, Johnny Mannett, played rugby in Australia. He'd been through a similar health challenge. He got through that. He was in remission, went back to playing the highest levels of rugby in Australia. After this photo was taken, his problem came back. He went back into hospital, mirrored me with losing all his hair again. I went through all sorts of terrible things. Unfortunately for him, and he was only 21 here, he never came out of that hospital. We lost him at the age of 23. So that was a really sad time. And Vera, that got me thinking, here he is at 23,
Yeah.
and I'm, about twice his age. I'm half as fit. He had the good one, and I had two of the bad ones. And my question was, what was going to happen to me moving forward, which I asked my doctors. And at the end of 2.5 years of what they put me through, when I asked that question, they told me to get my affairs in order. So that was a terrible time. Well, firstly, I was angry because I thought I was going to be okay. When you go...
You believe in traditional medicine. You believe that they are doing everything possible to heal you, correct?
Growing up, when we were sick as children, we went to the doctors and, we had a couple of pills and everything was okay. So that's where my mindset was back then.
Yeah.
I didn't believe in anything else. Something that I'm not proud to admit, going through this, I drank a lot and I wanted to literally drink myself to death. It just wasn't a good time of my life. And to be honest, I didn't want to be here. When the doctor said, get your affairs in order, that was the inflection point and the switch to, hey, I'm going to prove you wrong and I'm going to survive. So I started doing research that I wouldn't normally believe in. So you, with all your nutritional experience, for example, a naturopath, a chiropractor, a homeopath, all of these things I thought were quackery. Yeah. I didn't believe in anything like that because of the way I was brought up and my mindset, the knowledge I had at the time. So when I flicked the switch, I found an alkaline diet. I knew that the problem that I had couldn't survive or live or thrive in an alkaline state. So I knew I had to change the state of my body. And I became a pescatarian. I ate deep sea fish, organic vegetables, organic salads, and that sort of thing. So I got
your diet finally. Yeah.
Very nice, clean diet from what I was on. So as you know, us Aussies, us Australians, like our barbies, we like our steaks, we like our beer, we like our red wine. All that was gone. Everything was super clean. The other thing that I did at that stage, which I wasn't doing for a long time, from the time I was a bodybuilder, and don't forget the nutrition that that feeds the cells is different from the bodybuilder, the proteins, the amino acids, the creatine, and everything that I required back then. So I had to learn about that side too. So the other thing I had to flick the switch on is there was a lot of people that approached me. There were friends, associates, people I knew from the network marketing industry. Now, Vera, if you came to me with a product through the network marketing industry, through that business model 12 years ago, I would have never spoken to you again. I was ignorant. I didn't know anything about it. Now, today I teach people never to make a decision on things that you aren't fully informed about. Yeah. I had no idea about the business model. So here, my friends are trying to help me sincerely with products that were the best of the best from the businesses they were involved with to help me with what I was going through. So for the record, and I can say this, companies like Zango's mangosteen juice. I was drinking a bottle a day. Isogenics product B, that was their marquee product. Life Vantage Pro Tandem, Kangen water, Solgevity from Max. These products I took religiously for 2 years on that super clean diet. And this
it wasn't cheap either.
no, and another part of my story, which you hear about, by this stage, I'd lost everything. We'd lost everything financially, and we're living in a van on the streets. And this was the result. This photo here, literally after 2 years of eating clean and taking all of those supplements. So the blood works were showing my specialist that everything was still heading in the wrong direction. Nothing that I was doing was working. And then obviously everything that they did worked to a point, but it becomes an issue again. And that's just
It likely prolonged your life, but it didn't improve the quality of it.
Quality, and it was still there. So what they had done was going to happen again. And as you know, a person can only handle so many of those hospital visits.
Yeah.
So I still was desperate for a solution to the problem that I had. You can see that I looked probably 20, 30 years older here than the last photo.
Yeah.
It's a huge difference. So yeah, nothing was working. If we can go back to that other one, this point, I'm pulling out my hair that I finally grew back. A friend of mine called and told me about a breakthrough technology that was based in Salt Lake City, Utah. I said, okay, Bart, I was desperate. I was willing to listen to everything. What do I need to do? He said, come to Salt Lake City. So we managed to get to Salt Lake City. I had a friend of mine who also had a health challenge with a skin issue he had from the top of his head to his toes. He happened to come with me as well.
Mm-hmm.
So we met Bart in the boardroom of this company in Salt Lake City, and we were hearing the atomic and medical physicists talking about this breakthrough and what it could do and why it worked so effectively. Be honest with you, Vera, I didn't understand any of the terminology. The word mitochondria I'd never heard of before.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, but I had faith that the product was safe, which he said it was, and it could work. It could help.
Right.
So we were drinking it. We were drinking a lot of it while we were there for 3-4 days. In that time, I had the most incredible positive results. Things that I didn't think of because they happened so quick that would be associated with what I was doing. And then things that did happen and the light bulb went on and I was thinking, oh my God, there's something really special here. So 3 hours I went through, there were things that wanted to come out of my body, wanted to expel toxins and all sorts of things so fast. Something I wasn't doing enough was drinking water to flush them out by going to the bathroom. That's how we get rid of toxins. It was coming out of my skin. So I had little red spots all over my upper torso. In 12 hours, a 20-year stomach issue had gone away. Any more than 2 coffees, and I'd have bloating and discomfort the whole day. That problem, 20-year problem, literally was gone overnight. People say, how do you know that? I said, well, I had 6 coffees the next morning without an issue.
Yeah.
That was win number 2. Win number 3, the light bulb went on. Those hospital visits caused me, with what they did, to have a lot of lung damage. So I had trouble breathing and talking at the same time, walking upstairs, walking up hills. That issue was gone literally in 3 days on the product. So do you think I had the belief in what this was doing?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did you have any understanding why is it doing what it is doing?
In those few days, I had no idea. I had no idea why. It took a while to learn about what it was, and because keep in mind, it was all about my health.
Yeah.
So this part of journey was 100% all about my health. And I'm going to tell you, I was very selfish in regards to that. When I say very selfish, we were in a position where I couldn't afford the product the way I needed to take the product and the amount I needed to take. But literally with the last little bit of money, or the only money I had, I did buy 6 cases of the product because my best friend was in worse condition than me.
Oh.
And when I got back to Australia, I managed to stay on what we call the maintenance amount of product.
Mm-hmm.
for him and we both needed a lot of this product. I called him. I said, "Hey, Steve, I've come across this breakthrough technology. These are the results I had in 3 days. And I think you should start on it." I said, "You don't have to pay for what I've got. I've bought 6 months. You can start." And he said to me, "Listen, Dan, I just want to stay with the doctors. I don't want anything to mess up what they're doing. And I want to give that a go." I said, "Okay, if you get into trouble, please let me know. And we can help you and you can start on this." Yeah, I mean, it's a compliment to what you're doing. I mean, the doctors do what they do for you. The great thing about this too, with what I was told, it couldn't affect anything else that I was doing or anybody else was doing.
That's important.
No, absolutely. We can replenish our body. And the great thing with what we know, what we've been told, is it can't harm a newborn baby. As a matter of fact, it's the safest product we can take on the planet.
Yeah.
Non-toxic, bioactive, native to the body. It's different. I mean, you know, I'm standing here right now and I'm being a good boy and I'm taking my vitamin C and all my supplements here and I'm just going to do this. But I mean, the point I'm getting with those, Vera, is the body needs to work out what to do with what I'm taking.
Yes. Yeah.
I mean, you know, I talk about blueberries, you know, and the antioxidants and, you know, all that sort of stuff. But blueberries don't grow in our body. And here in this photo, you know, I'm taking all these good things. I'm eating a great diet here. But my body, doesn't know how to 100% utilize that because it's not giving the signals, the guidance of where it's actually required. So here I'm still in a lot of trouble, but I started taking this product. I did start feeling better. When I went to get my results, as time went on, the doctors are saying your blood works are improving, your blood works are improving. Fantastic. And
How
then,
long did it take? Do you remember?
well, I started on the product 9 years ago next month. So that was in October 2014. This photo here, just over a year later in December 2015, the doctors gave me some good news and said no sign of those 2 major challenges.
Wow.
But not only that, multiple injuries from playing sports, which were turning into that crippling issue as we got older, had gone away. 20 years of pollen problems, sneezing, runny nose, gone away. So basically my whole body was rebuilt in a year on this product. That was a little bit about my journey back to health. I mean, I remember at 44, just before I was given the bad news, I used to sit on the side of the bed when I woke up in the morning thinking, oh my God, how am I going to get up? Oh,
yeah, we start feeling it. Yeah.
You know, the aches, the discomforts, but and you know, as you're getting older, you think that's normal.
Mm-hmm.
And you think, okay, well,
because we see it all around us. Yeah.
We see it everywhere. You just got to deal with that. So here I am now. This is now into 2015. Health journey was incredible, but if you fast forward to here another 2 years, this is 3 years on the product. So you can see I'm looking, you know, younger again. So going through those photos, when you see somebody and they're not looking well on the outside, then they're not well on the inside.
Yeah.
You know, my complexion here is a reflection of what was going on the inside at that time. So I know now, and I can look into a crowd of people and I know who's actually taking this product and who isn't by the way that they look. So this is it's not the end of my journey, because obviously I've been taking this product for 9 years next month, and my body really hasn't missed a beat in that whole time. Whereas 9 years ago, it was totally broken. We had lost everything. We were living in a van on the streets in Australia. We were living on disability. We went bankrupt. And
you had quite a prognosis from your doctors.
Yeah, things were looking very, very grim. You know, I've been in business where there's been a few hiccups and it knocks you to your knees. It's easy to get up when you have your health in that situation. When I was knocked to my knees and down onto my hands in this situation, when I lost my health, I felt defeated, totally defeated. I couldn't physically get up or do anything whatsoever. I mean, I was laying on the couch all day and my wife said, You know, I was gray, literally my skin from what they were putting me through.
Yeah.
She'd wake up and I'd be lying her next morning in bed and she'd be wondering if I was going to be alive or dead. To, you know, going through what they put me through in that hospital, whereas we know every single cell in the body is being targeted and there's a detrimental effect, which is literally your whole body.
Yeah.
So literally I came from doing well after school in traditional business and having incredible health, being an athlete, losing my health, losing everything financially when we could go to a different restaurant every night, to regaining my health. And then obviously, thanks to a business model behind the breakthrough, it gave us the ability to get our lifestyle back.
You mentioned that you are on it now for 9 years. So you got your health back, you're looking great, you are in shape. Why would you continue to take it?
For me personally, I mean, there's a lot of studies that show that while on the product, it's doing some incredible things like opening up genetic pathways and increasing the ability for them to perform over 30%, up over 30% more effectively. Reduction in oxidation. Vera, if you go back, I don't want to go into your age or mine, but when I was when I was 5 years old, 50 years ago, I'm nearly 56. The toxins that we actually took into our body as a child, going back 50 years over a 12-month period, we now intake every 15 minutes.
Oh my God.
That's 36,000 times more toxins entering our body every year than what there was going back all those years ago. So there's many reasons why I am going to continue on the product. One, for me, it's an insurance policy. Two, I'm looking at longevity. I mean, people look at me funny sometimes, and people go, you know, that's possible. People go, people can do that. I'm looking at 150. Don't worry about 80 or 90 or 100 years old. Yeah. I want to get to 150. Now, the reason why a lot of people don't get to a longevity age of 100, 110, 120, and so on, is because our cells are breaking down all day, every day. And the toxins coming in, the environmental impact. So I want to get those toxins out as quickly as possible. And I want those cells rejuvenated as quickly as possible, which means I need antioxidants activated as quickly as possible. Yeah. I need everything to be kept in balance and homeostasis in my whole body. I need genes to turn on and off when I need them. So I want to make sure that I'm taking enough product. Instead of running around like a 56-year-old, I'd rather run around and recover like a 30-year-old. Yeah, you said some magic words when we first started about taking the responsibility of your health or my health into your own hands. It's definitely something that people need to do. They take for granted the condition that they're in.
Yes.
They think they've got their health, but I remind them that they have that disease called aging. We all do. Our cells are breaking down all day, every day. And I don't like to just educate people that are sick. I like to educate people that have their health as well, to maintain their health. So it's about maintaining, regaining, and as you said, living that quality of life. I mean, just to go peacefully in my sleep at the age of 150, that would be absolutely perfect. That's my goal.